Hey, boys and girls, I'm back. Well, YouTube decided, Pastor Marty, you work just way too hard. You've got so much on your plate. You're a full-time pastor, you're a full-time daily broadcaster, hosting a daily talk show, and then you do a weekend syndicated show that goes out to stations all over the country. You're busy. Take some time off here. Let us help you. Yes, I posted content they decided was reason that I needed a vacation, a break. Whew. And just in time, they let me back on to tell you, hey, President Trump has filed a lawsuit against big tech.
I just want to say that I stand before you this morning to announce a very important and very beautiful, I think, development for our freedom and our freedom of speech, and that goes to all Americans. Today, in conjunction with the America First Policy Institute, I'm filing as the lead class representative a major class action lawsuit against the big tech giants, including Facebook, Google, and Twitter, as well as their CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, and Jack Dorsey. Three real nice guys. We're going to hold big tech very accountable. This is the first of numerous other lawsuits, I assume, that would follow, but this is the lead, and I think it's going to be a very, very important game changer for our country. It will be a pivotal battle in the defense of the First Amendment, and in the end, I am confident that we will achieve a historic victory for American freedom, and at the same time, freedom of speech.
I'm just going to be really honest right up front. I think this is probably going to fail. And I don't know that the way this is structured, this particular lawsuit, if it was actually meant to win as much as it was to draw attention to the issue. Now, the honest truth is the law is on the side of social media. They're protected in such a way that they can't be sued for the online content that gets posted. They're kind of viewed as, like, for lack of a better way of saying it, a middleman. They're simply the conduit. They are not the content. Does that make sense? So they provide a service where you can come on and say what it is you say. And if you say something outrageous that triggers an event, they can't be held legally liable. But it also allows them to play fast and loose with their quote-unquote community guidelines. Now, the president, I'm referring to the president, Donald J. Trump, the 45th president, during his administration, he wanted that pulled away from big tech media platforms, the ability to basically this carte blanche where they can't be sued. And he felt, as did a lot of people on the conservative side of the aisle, if that got removed, well, then there would be no more censoring or censuring. Oh, no, nay, there would be a lot more. Because then the big tech companies would say, oh my word, anything that you say that even remotely offends someone, and look at the society in which we live with cancel culture. Pepe Le Pew is freaking people out. Pepe Le Pew has been canceled. Was canceled from the up-and-coming Space Jam movie, and the comedian Fluffy, what's his name? Gabriel Iglesias, who is doing the voice for Speedy Gonzalez, said, you better not be doing away with Speedy. This is where we're at, so you know that if the coverage that allows them not to be sued for content was lifted, oh my word, they would be pulling everybody's stuff. Nothing would be allowed to be posted because they just, quote, wouldn't want to get sued. The problem is President Trump and his legal team have framed this around the First Amendment. basically saying that the people who post have the First Amendment right to speak. But the way this is going to be applied legally is these corporations have the First Amendment right to protect themselves by not exposing people to anything that they deem as hate speech, misinformation, whatever. I have gotten a community strike over, quote, medical misinformation. Despite the fact this is a political show, it is political commentary and opinion, it matters not. Now, what needs to be done, what should have been done while President Trump was in office, because we stood a better chance of having it done under his administration than we ever will under Joe Biden or any liberal Democratic administration. These companies, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, they need to be treated like public utilities. They have gotten to the place now, these are not just novel little ways that we talk back and forth with each other. No, nay. This is actually now the main thrust of our telecommunications. This is how we communicate. Try to be a business and not have a social media presence, you are dead in the water. What needs to happen is YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, they need to be treated like public utilities. And I've said this before, and I have been saying this for the past 3 years. Public utilities, like the phone company, cannot refuse to install phone lines in the offices of the KKK. Public utilities, like the electric company, cannot refuse, they cannot refuse service to, say, the offices of some black power militia group. They can't do it. They're a public utility. They have to provide those services. Ma Bell didn't get to decide that the Illinois Nazi Party couldn't have telephone service. And so this is what we need to do with these social media platforms. What would have made President Trump's lawsuit so much stronger, it's not simply just conservatives that are being censored and removed from social media platforms. NPR, where they whisper the news because they think it makes them sound smarter. NPR was reporting that there is no proof to support the allegation, the alleged removing of conservative voices for social media platforms. Of course there is. I've been censored. I've been muzzled. I've been muted. I've been throttled back on my algorithm. I have been called controversial content. Okay? I don't have any control over that. I think it's a bunch of hooey. When I tried to monetize my channel, it's just I can't. It just I'm considered too out there. Okay? But here's the thing. If President Trump, in his lawsuit, had not only referenced conservative voices that have been censored, but also left progressive voices that are being removed. See, again, we got to put our big boy pants on the conservative side of the aisle and not just holler and scream about freedom of speech. We need to be serious about it. And by that I mean freedom of speech. The First Amendment is there to protect the speech I disagree with, not the speech I agree with. Ba-da-dum-ba-bum. Now, I do believe that a case can be made that these social media platforms have removed the former president of the United States, but the Ayatollah of Iran still can tweet. And of course, we know he's just inviting people to a Let's Love America rally. No, he's not. And we know what he's doing. They're using their social media voice to put out their anti-Semitic rhetoric and, of course, gin up support, gin up sympathy, and even recruit. So this idea, and by the way, this whole January 6th inquisition that's going to happen, no matter which side of the aisle you find yourself on, Trump has given himself enough plausible deniability to say, hey, I said let's keep it peaceful. I said let's respect the men in blue. Go home. Be peaceful. Go home. So this isn't going to go anywhere. And while we get distracted with all of this, there are real problems in this country that are not being dealt with. But the best way for the Trump lawsuit to have really, and I know what he wants to do, he wants to get it out there Now, some people on the left are saying he's just trying to stay relevant. No, no, no. He's trying to do his part to shed light on this problem, to get Congress to move. But right now, the particular way Congress is made up, they're not interested in moving on this. What would have moved Congress, even on the liberal side of the aisle, is if Trump had joined forces with somebody like a Jimmy Dore. Not just a Steven Crowder, not just an Alex Jones, but bring on a Jimmy Dore. Bring on a Kyle Kulinski. Bring on left progressive voices that have been censured, throttled back. I have said it before, and I will say it again. When it comes to matters of real liberty, we on the far conservative side have much more in common with the far left, and I know your heads explode when I say that, but it's true. Classic liberals, real liberals, the liberals of the bygone era, they were all about like free speech, man, and stick it to the man. And now the modern liberal movement is all about you will do what you're told. And so the true progressive liberals have nothing in common with the neocon liberals. Nothing. Nothing to do with the status quo. And I get it. There are progressive voices, Jimmy Dore included, that we will not agree with them on issues. But I think we do agree on there needs to be free speech, free access to information, and the more information we get out there, the better. And people need to be able to think and process and determine, that's bunk, I'm not listening to it, this I want to hear. Instead of living in a state-controlled media nanny state. That's what's at stake here. President Trump would have been farther ahead if he had brought some liberal voices on. Again, I personally don't think this lawsuit is going to get what some guys on the far right are thinking, like Dr. Steve Turley over at his Turley Talks. He's all excited. Sorry, Stevie, it's not going to get the result that you're hoping for. There will be light shed on this issue, but ultimately, this is where the right, the left, are going to have to come together and work together on this one. Free speech for all, otherwise, it's free speech for none. Hey, that's it for my welcome back rant. I got a lot more content coming. You might have figured I got a lot to say since I've been on vacation. Not really. I've been over on the other channel. Get there. You got to check it out. Content that you missed.